Hello, everyone. Welcome to the presentation from my honors capstone. Today, we'll be discussing my major design project with A2 Virtual Plus. So here's a quick overview of what we're covering today. I'll be briefly introducing my project, talk about what I actually did for my project, and then the impact and future steps. And lastly, we'll finish on some of the key takeaways that I had from this project. So to provide some of the background, so I did a MDP with A2 Virtual Plus, which is a K-12 online program that's part of the Ann Arbor Public School. It's created in 2013 in response to one of the new legislations. It has 350 full-time K through 5 students and over 2,000 enrollments in middle school and high school courses. So the current registration process is tedious for all involved. It uses several different Google forms, and it's just very hard for students and parents, as well as the administrators, to process enrollment requests. So they wanted a better online course registration system that is intuitive and easily accessible by the students and the guardians, as well as the administrators. So here's some of the high-level goals from our sponsor, which is A2 Virtual. We want a simple and flexible online course registration, secure data analysis and export, to ensure that privacy is protected for our students and parents, and efficient management of users and courses on the administrator's side, as well as being accessible to users across all demographics and geolocations. So as I mentioned, some of the key stakeholders for our project include the A2 Virtual and Ann Arbor Public School, AAPS. That'll be their administrators, coordinators, principals, counselors, and teachers. The other one is the students and families in Ann Arbor and beyond. So you can include the K-12 students and their parents and guardians. Lastly, we have the Department of Education. So we have to collect certain information to comply in order to allow A2 Virtual to comply with some of the state regulations. So include like student demographics and 504 IEP plan. So moving on to our final deliverable, what have we actually done? So we have created a website with 3 different components. First, we have the student. So students are able to set up their accounts, create an account, and register for classes from there. And as well, they can also manage and update their personal information. So once the students register for classes, notification will be sent to their guardian or their parent, and to approve or deny their student's request. If they approve the student's request, then the request will be sent to the staff side, so the administrators, to process, and they will have the final say in whether or not the students will be able to register for a certain course. So I'm going to show a quick demo of some of the things I just discussed. So first, it will be the sign up process for the student. So as you can see, here's a landing page for our website. And you will be entering your names and emails and pronouns, genders, graduation year, counselor, student ID, your school, all that stuff. So, yeah. And then you'll also be able to add a parent, and then edit your information later if you want. So moving on to the next segment of the demo, student can register for courses. So just speed it up. So as you can see, students can select from a variety of different courses once they sign up, and then click check all the acknowledgements and sign. They are able to get those requests sent through, and they can also drop or withdraw their class after signing up. And finally, once the parents approve the request, the request will be sent to the administrators. So on the admin side, they will see a list of requests from students, and they're able to review by clicking approve or deny. They can also do multiple at once. All right, so moving on to our next section of my presentation, we'll be discussing the impact and the next steps for my Capstone project. So the impact is that our project saves time for students, parents, as well as A2 virtual staff. So our sponsor will use the app in production in the coming registration season. So that'll be in the coming month or so, and students and parents can now be able to register in a much more efficient manner. So they don't have to basically sign up multiple times, refilling out the same information on the Google Forms. Instead, they'll have one account for each. So one student account, one parent account, and they can do the registration, uses their same demographic information multiple times throughout the semester and talk across different terms. So counselors can now easily review the registration requests of the students, and administrators can manage the course registration in one place and export the corresponding data. It requires relatively no maintenance. We have low cost to use the third-party services such as Firebase and Angular. We have complete documentation in place. And last but not least, our app is secure. Everything is stored using Google and their databases. So now we'll be discussing the takeaways that I had from this project and some of the personal lessons. So first, I learned some very valuable technical skills. So in terms of web development, I learned about TypeScript, Firebase, RxJS, things like that, as well as version control. So working as a team of 5, they had to learn how to use Git to control different versions and branches of the code. I also learned how to work in an agile development process and working with a client on an app that has real-world implications and will be deployed, to production. I also learned that design projects and many real-world problems are inherently ambiguous. That means is that you're not given very clear specifications like you will see, in, for instance, school project. So you're only given the very high-level goals. You have to figure out how to approach this problem, how to do the design, right? So in our case, we're only given the very high-level goals that I showed you in the very beginning. So basically, a simple, intuitive online registration system that is secure and is efficient for the administrators. Right. So we have to figure out what software stack to use, where language to use, what database to use, where the data gets stored, how many pages of website should there be, what components should look like, all that kind of stuff, right? So it's very highly ambiguous and highly creative process, but that means it's very challenging, but it's also a great learning experience, and it taught me how to things work in the real life, essentially. The next lesson I learned is staying organized can go a long way, right? So a clear delegation of task and division labor can help save a lot of time and make the progress move along a lot faster. So in the case of our project, we had very good project management from the beginning. We had this agile backlog, and basically everyone know who's doing what, and that without that we couldn't get this far. And the last lesson I learned was open communication is also key to teamwork. So it prevents misunderstanding. And one example I'll use is at one time our project or one of our assignments is due, but one of our teammates, teammate A, thought teammate B is doing that job, but teammate B thought A was supposed to be submitting the assignment. So the assignment, no one submitted the assignment, so we'd end up getting a 0 because the project is missing, the assignment is missing. So that taught us a very painful lesson that we need to be communicating with each other what our expectations are and checking with each other frequently to make sure things are going correctly. Yeah, that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for coming to my capstone presentation. Yeah, thank you.